What's going on YouTube? It's that time of the year that all gardeners demise. It's the end of growing season, and while some continue into the winter, I do not. And this video is intended to do a look back on my super small garden. Now, the phrase super small was intentional, and did you know that Google actually defines a small garden as something under 100 square meters? And while I feel I have a small garden, I'm actually calling it a super small backyard garden now, as what I have pictured here is currently only 44 square feet. And with that known, and being that this picture was taken in early spring, in this video I plan to show how my garden grew this year. Thanks in advance for watching, and if I can please ask you like this video and subscribe to my channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. Enjoy! So as I just stated, my super small garden is currently 44 square feet, and it just doesn't cut it for me. So my goal of this past year was actually to get up to 50 feet. And I did that by means of building this new garden box. Now I do have another video on my channel for this garden box, but I'll note that all my garden boxes are built out of pine, and I feel they're a bit unique because I put poles in them, which later become a trellis to grow vertically. Here's a view of that garden box by late summer. I painted it to match my other garden boxes, and I did get the 6 additional square feet that I was searching to get to 50 total. I grew lettuce, and cucumbers loved the trellis that was built in. I also added a hose, which was very helpful for my garden this year. As my initial goal to start the season was garden expansion, I did find myself quickly into early spring, as seen here. Things are definitely starting to grow, and in this picture we see snow peas climbing the trellis. We see green pole beans climbing the poles that are holding up the trellis. I have strawberries coming through, a couple varieties of cucumber, and even a pumpkin plant in this 2x12 garden box. And later in this video you'll see how these green beans and the cucumbers essentially just overtake this trellis. And what's empty in this view becomes a wall of green. I'll show and tell that later though. And as I was working hard to ensure I was off to a successful spring, I also found out I had some friends in the garden, which led me to get these humane traps. I had this chipmunk that was just pretty much digging up everything I planted. And while it was annoying, he later became my friend, I'll be honest about it. Overall though, even with the chipmunks, it was a good spring. And here's a view stepping back of my super small garden. Again, this is only 50 square feet. Flashing forward now to late spring, almost early summer, we start to see the full effect of what growing vertically can do for a small garden. And also, to be frank, how big a pumpkin plant can get. Look at that thing. My new garden box is doing just fine, and all the lettuce is coming in. Again, this is romaine lettuce that I grew. And the cucumbers are starting to climb the trellis. To hit briefly on other things going on, in my front garden box I have 5 basil plants, sugar baby watermelon, a variety of carrots, and I have 3 different variety of cherry tomatoes that, again, I grow vertically. And here's a final view of one of the green pole beans climbing the pole. This is about 6 feet tall, just to let you know. And if you're new to gardening, I definitely recommend starting with the green pole bean. Before moving much farther though, let me visualize what I do have going on in the garden. Again, in my new garden box, I have lettuce and cucumbers growing the trellis. On the big garden box in the back of my garden, I have green pole beans and snow peas growing on my giant trellis alongside cucumbers. I do have a huge pumpkin plant. Where there's space in the big garden box, I have a variety of different herbs and strawberries. And then I also have a couple buckets of green bush beans that I have scattered throughout the garden just to get a little more space. So definitely a lot going on in this super small garden, and I wouldn't have been so successful if not for the several different pollinators I had around. Here we see a typical bumblebee pollinating the basil. I do make sure to check for insects, both good and bad, and remediate the bad ones. Moving into midsummer now, here's my lettuce box again. And because we had such a hot summer and I did want to collect some lettuce seed, I did let the majority of my lettuce bolt, even though harvesting a lot of it for salad. And as we saw empty a few moments ago, here's a view of my large garden trellis that lines my back garden box. Again, this is cucumbers and green pole beans growing up it. It's over 6 feet tall and it's fully filled in at this point. I call it the green monster. Now let's walk to the other side of my garden and check out what I called my pepper box. I have a 2 foot by 4 foot, 8 square feet total garden box that I dedicated to growing peppers. I did have a giant sunflower right in the middle of it for most of the season, but the birds took that out. I grow 3 different varieties of peppers. Pretty simple. I have 4 bell pepper plants. I have 2 jalapeno plants. And then as I wanted to do some crust red pepper flakes, I did do some cayenne plants this year. I have 2 of those in the box, and I also planted a few of them. Altogether, 3 different varieties again, 8 pepper plants in the box total. They turned out pretty good this year, as you can see. As I mentioned prior in the video, I do have my front garden box that really has a lot of stuff going on. While the video doesn't show it, I do have sugar baby watermelon in here. I have several basil plants. I have carrots, as you can see, and also 3 varieties of cherry tomato that I grow vertically. Flashing forward now to fall, things have definitely started to die off in the garden. I've left cucumbers and beans on the vine so I could harvest seeds. I began to clean up the garden a bit. I'm harvesting carrots at this point. Got rid of my watermelon. I've planted broccoli inside of my bucket gardens and ultimately started harvesting the variety of peppers that I have. I am going to be trying to winterize my peppers this year. It's the first time I've personally tried that, so I'm looking forward to how it turns out. And just that fast came the first snow in winter, and the garden is officially closed. I still do have one of my broccoli buckets, which I do some shorts on my YouTube channel for, and unfortunately, even though broccoli is a cold weather crop, I don't think it's going to survive. But I am very excited to close down my 4th year of gardening and look forward to what I'll do next year. Thanks again for watching though and going on my super small garden tour. I learned so much this year and I can't wait to learn more next. And if I can ask a few things, please like this video and check out the video in the link above, and also consider subscribing to my channel where I cover a wide variety of topics on my almost acre. Thanks again. Take care.